Yeah, of course. Day number 1 of competition, the winner will go through straight into round 3. First and second, second and third, I beg your pardon, will go through into that second round. And of course, we are seeing here Sally Fitzgibbons, runner-up to the world title many times. She's coming into this event ranked number 5 as a seed, 10th on the championship tour ratings. She has won this event twice before. She's semi-final here. Pete, she's got to be one of the favourites starting out early. I feel too for Coco. Whilst the results might not have shown, as we see some of the first waves of the day pulling through, this is Sally Fitzgibbons finding a little two-turn combination on her backhand there. We'll talk about that judging criteria and that scoring scale in a minute, Pete, as we see Sally just making her way through the inside here. That tide just coming off that low tide earlier on this morning, so Sally is going to just try and make this first wave count all the way into the shore break. There's that backwash that you alluded to, and a nice little finish on the inside. So Fitzgibbons striking early, getting that first wave under the belt.
Talk about getting rid of the jitters. She did exactly that. You got to love what Sally's been able to do. I mean, all those years of experience. Coming here to Saquarema, again, this wave is a typical beach break. I think that you would obviously have some places at home that have a similar vibe, similar feel.
Yeah, we'll talk about those surfboards in a second. Here goes Sally on this replay, Pete.
Again, you got these offshore winds, combination of major moves. That's part of the criteria. Nice little two-turn combo there. Gets a little late on the final hit. And then now she's working it, looking for an inside section, which she ends up finding. You know, this wave can reform, just like a many beach breaks around the world. And there's that backwash. We will see that factor in on those inside sections. You know, nothing super dynamic, but a good start. She's sure on her feet. Probably a mid-range score in the fair ring.
A little bit of positioning out there in the lineup. Nikki Van Dijk in that blue singlet, Coco in the white, and looks like Sally Fitzgibbons has picked up a wave down the bank. Very similar to that first one as she's trying to come through that inside section. No real inside connection there for Sally, so locked in a second scoring wave of the day. Of course, a 2 times winner here and a semi-finalist berth. What sort of difference are we going to see in boards?
As we take a look at the replay here, we're not going to see a ton of difference. You know, I think that shortboards are going to be the go. You'll see maybe some surfers bring in epoxy or a bit of a fishier design if the waves are to shrink as we watch this replay here. 2-turn combo, very similar to what her first section was on a much smaller wave.
Her confidence has sort of come back, and she's really sort of figuring out who she is as a surfer and a person as well. Quick takeoff on the outside there from Coco. So Nikki Van Dijk will grab that priority, the surfer in blue.
That's unfortunate because that wave looked like it had some scoring potential there.
Nikki Van Dijk with priority. Looks like she'll pull the trigger on this one. A nice looking outside wall here for Nikki Van Dijk from Phillip Island in Australia. Gets a second turning. Can she get a third on the outside? Nice big swoop there as that wave fattens out on the sandbank. Going to look for a strong finish. And that wave energy just sort of peters out on the inside. So Nikki using priority well there.
I would agree. You know, she did take a long time to finally find her first wave, but it was a quality wave. Stayed open, you know, and this is a set wave on that outside bank. She gets the snap as this wave steepens up. Combination of major moves there. She gets a third turn. See that backwash start to kind of lift and warble the wave a little bit, and then the finish. You know, she didn't have to work to that inside section. So nice outside maneuvers. A great wave.
Yeah, I like that opening snap there from Nikki. Meanwhile, we see Sally Fitzgibbons locking in her third wave here. Again, it's all about wave selection this morning. You see not all those waves kind of standing up on that outside bank. This one sort of softened up to the inside, but she manages to get the inside. 19 minutes remaining in this first season. We have a look at this last wave of Sally Fitzgibbons, Pete. Nice square bottom turn.
She did get through the lip on that first section, but again, pushing a little bit harder, she did have that little bit of hesitation. The judges want to see you glide through that maneuver without hesitation, drive through it, and then watch out for this backwash. She literally lifts her off the board, and that's not a completed maneuver, so the judges will take note of that.
And looks like Coco now with priority will take a look at this one on the outside. Surfer from Hawaii. Nice, probably one of the biggest waves of the day. Big square, bottom turn to top turn combination. But besides, that one's got not much potential on that shoulder.
That's too bad because that was one of the best sections we've seen on that outside portion of the wave.
That injury in the warm-ups to Snapper Rocks. Meanwhile, this is live pictures out the back. Coco, second priority. Nice opening turn into that pocket. She's finding one of those little runners on that bank. Maybe not too much steepness in that wall, but she's certainly working those roundhouse cutbacks, rebounding into that inside section. Of course, bear in mind, she's holding on to a 0.2 in her top 2, so she's looking to drop that with this score, trying to back up that 2.6 and, in fact, go but better She finishes nice and strong in there. What's your first impressions of that one, Pete?
Well, it's going to be a nice flowing wave. You know, part of the criteria is that speed, power, and flow. She carried a lot of flow through that. But again, the difficulties of the maneuvers are not that hard. Vertical in the face, but very nice flow as she carries this wave here. And again, sitting second priority, she's just got to get that ball rolling. You know, she's got to be able to get those scores going. She only has a 0.2 in her score line, so this is going to help with her confidence and put her within reach with just one wave. I mean, again, she picked one that was going to give her open face throughout the entire ride. She didn't have to deal with too much backwash. Again, she strings a bunch of maneuvers together, but nothing of real high impact and high difficulty. So you expect the score probably come into that fair range.
She can run into danger coming into that back half of the heat. We see Sally now taking off again. She's trying to find that big, steep, open face on the outside, Pete. This one's one of those slopey ones that you referred to before. So judges will bear this in mind as they compare scores with Coco Ho. She might get a stronger finish on the inside here, but just looking at that one, my first impression is not going to go into the top two.
I would have to say I agree with you. You know, again, we'll see how the vibe kind of unfolds for these next two waves because they were kind of similar. She did get a closeout section, which we didn't see necessarily from Coco Ho. That's a little more difficult when you have to redirect off the whitewater, comparing them to a certain wave that's already been ridden. Let's take a look here again. So this wave looked like it had some potential here. The first section, again, flattened out, so she had to carve back into it. Same thing here for second maneuver. And she waits for the third. Again, very similar, so not a lot of variety. And that will factor in, but then the closeout section redirects off of it. Not the most meaty section. You'd like to see a little more energy in that section, but she did what she had to do and finished the ride. There's more consistency on these on that main peak, but again, giving herself opportunity.
All right, so Nikki Van Dijk lets that one go with priority. That's Coco Ho take off on this one. She is looking for a 6.0 to go into the lead, and that first section looked like it might have run off ahead of her, but she's done well to come around the section here. Now gets to work on this inside. This is where we need that strong finish. No backwash to speak of on that one, so Coco Ho now locking in a fourth wave for her, looking to drop that 2.60 and looking for a 6.0 to go into first place. Pete, bit of a wobbly section on the outside that she had to negotiate.
To make its way all the way out to the main peak. You see it just kind of lifts, and that's where the timing comes into play. Can you pick those sections? And she did attack that first section. It was nice. The little bit of a bobble, but keeps it together and stays with it. This wave stayed fairly open, so she gets a string of several maneuvers done. I really liked her. I mean, the strongest maneuver she had was on that very first section, and she completes this ride. Is it the number to turn the heat? Probably not.
She's taking a real good look at this one on the outside. It's got a great little stretched out wall ahead of it. Doesn't have the steepness on this opening turn. Gets a nice opening carve into that pocket. And now this wave will get to that soft section, so she's going to have to get to work and get that rhythm, get that flow going. The last thing you want to do is lose your speed through this inside section. She's going to have to do a bit of work here. Now this inside section will stand up, and she finishes pretty strong there. So Nikki Van Dijk in second place, holding on to a 4.50. This is her second scoring wave. Pete, what's your first thoughts on that one?
We'll see. We will see. Again, great flow. I mean, definitely has that going for her in this heat section on the outside. You know, it looked like it was going to have it. She gets there, and you can see just flattened out slightly, so she had to carve back into it. Again, very similar carves right back to the whitewash. You know, these moves here aren't super difficult, but great flow from her, and that'll maybe factor in, but then it kind of drops off, and then another opportunity around Monday afternoon, Tuesday.
Well, here we go. Sally Fitzgibbons decides to use that priority with 23 seconds remaining. Nice little opening turn there from Sal on the outside again. This inside section is going to come into play for most of the day, and that wave not quite doing what she had hoped with 15 seconds remaining. The clock is going to be counting down. We're inside the last 6 seconds. Is Coco going to get an opportunity here?
Doesn't look like it.
That's not going to happen for Coco, unfortunately for her. So Coco Ho and Nikki Van Dijk will go through into the second round. And Sally Fitzgibbons takes the win of the first heat of the day here in Sakurama.